optical double is not really a binary star. But there are stars that really are close together and orbiting each other, and those are binaries. If they are far enough apart and the star is close enough for it to see, then in the telescope we can see that we have two stars there. In that case, we say it is a visual binary. Now, sometimes you can have we know that the stars orbit one another, and so what will sometimes happen is you see one star and the star kind of wobbles back and forth a little bit, and as it's wobbling back and forth, we realize there has to be something that we don't see going around it and making it wobble. And so in that case, we would call it an astrometric binary. It's not a whole lot of astrometric binaries that have been discovered, but there are a few. There's also something called a spectrum binary. A spectrum binary is going to be a binary star in which you know there's more than one star there because the spectral lines are not the spectral lines of just one star. For example, you have a hot star and a cool star. And so what happens is that with a hot star, you get certain kind of spectral lines. With a cool star, you have different kind of spectral lines. And if you look at the binaries, if the two stars are really close together, you might actually have a spectrum that's a mixture of the two. And so, well, the star can't be both hot and cool. And so you realize that it's really two stars there. And so this is what we call a spectrum binary. It's also spectroscopic binaries. The name is very, very similar, but the way you know this is happening is you've got these two stars. Now, remember, the two stars are orbiting. So one star is orbiting, the other star is orbiting. They're both going around the center of mass between the two. So when one star is over here, the other star is over here. Okay. And so kind of in the diagram here, get one star here, the other star's on the other side. So one star's going away from you, one star's going towards you. Or I guess one star's going towards you, one going away from you. And then here, the stars, again, are opposite one another, but one's going to the left and one's going to the right. And so they're not going towards you, away from you here. They're still opposite each other from the center of mass, but one's getting towards you and away from you. And so what happens is that the spectrum shifts back and forth. When the star is going away from you, it's red shifted. When the star is coming towards you, it's blue shifted. And so what happens is these lines go shifting back and forth. When they're going side to side, they're not shifted at all. But you'll see these lines, spectral lines, gradually separating and merging again. So when that happens, then you can figure out how fast these stars are going around each other. And if you know how fast they're going around each other and how long it takes to go through a complete cycle, you can figure out how far they go. And then from that, you can work backwards to figure out masses. Okay, so here we have, for example, a graph of some spectroscopic binaries. And so they're going towards and away from each other. And so they're crossing at this plot right here. So that's going to be, neither of them are going towards or away. But the entire thing turns out to be receding. So that means the entire system is going away from us. But this one is going away from us. That's going towards us. Then this one's coming towards us, and that one's going away from us. And so they're oscillating back and forth. So you figure out how long it takes to go from here to there, okay, or from this crossing to that crossing. Either way, that's going to be one period, the orbital period. Here is a star HD 48099, and you can see one of them like this and the other one like this. Now, they cross right here. So the question is, notice this star doesn't change as much as the other. So which star is going to actually move the most, the big one or the small one? The answer is, well, the small one is going to move the most. And so you can actually figure out how much one's moving compared to the other, and that tells you how much mass is in one star versus the other star. Using Newton's second law as rather as using Kepler's third law as Newton revised it, allows us to find the total mass, and then you can say, oh, but wait, 1/3 of that mass is in one star and 2/3 of the mass is in the other star, so now we know how much mass each star would have. Eclipsing binaries. This is what I've studied in graduate school. And eclipsing binaries, you have a star that gets in front of the other. And so when it gets in front of the other, then the light dims down. The star Algol, Beta Persei. This is actually one that is an eclipsing binary. It's a variable star. It varies in brightness, and it's varying because one star is getting in the way of the other. And so the star is normally bright, dims down when the dim one gets in front, brightens back up again. There's a little dip in here where the dim one goes behind it. It doesn't really change it by that much, and then it dims down again here. And so that's the eclipsing binary. Depending on how they eclipse, if they sort of partially eclipse each other, totally eclipse each other, small one compared to a big one, or one of them's really hot and causes a bright spot on the other. If you make a graph of brightness versus time, it changes that light curve, and so you can actually learn a lot about the different kinds of stars by studying eclipsing binaries. Okay. So these are the different types of actual binary stars. So I've taken the optical double off the list because that's, well, it's a double star in the telescope. It's not really a binary star. So visual binaries, in the telescope, you look at it, you see that they're binary. Astrometric binaries, you notice that one of the stars is wobbling. Spectrum binaries, you have two different spectral types in one spectral image. Spectroscopic binaries, you see the spectral lines going back and forth. And then eclipsing binaries, one of them gets in front of the other and the whole thing dims down. So these are the different types of binary stars.